Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. US administration on back foot after Trump's Gaza takeover plan draws global condemnation. UN chief Antonio Guterres warns Donald Trump against ethnic cleansing in Gaza. Donald Trump signs order banning trans athletes from women's sports to push IOC to change its rules on transgenders before 2028 Los Angeles Games. Ceasefire in East Congo appears to crumble as rebels take another town. UN estimates at least 2,900 people killed in fighting in Goma. Residents pray for peace amid renewed fighting. And protesters vandalized Bangladesh's founder Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's residence in Dhaka during an online speech by former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. US President Donald Trump's administration appeared to backtrack on Wednesday after his proposal to take over Gaza sparked global outcry, with the United Nations warning against ethnic cleansing in the Palestinian territory.
Donald Trump's stunning proposal that the United States could take control of the Gaza Strip invited strong reactions from governments around the world. Facing a wave of criticism from Palestinians, Arab governments and world leaders, Trump's Secretary of State Marco Rubio said any transfer of Gazans would be temporary, while the White House insisted there was no commitment to sending US troops. US President Trump had said at Tuesday's news conference that the US will take over the Gaza Strip, and he insisted Wednesday that everybody loves his proposal.
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know.
But the tone changed after reactions from across the globe. Rubio said the idea was not meant as hostile, describing it as a generous move, the offer to rebuild and to be in charge of the rebuilding.
It's a unique offer, one that no other country in the world has stepped up and made an offer. But I think it's one people need to think about. Seriously, it was not meant as a hostile move. It was meant as I think, a very generous move, the offer to rebuild and to be in charge of the rebuilding of a place, many parts of which right now, even if people move back, they would have nowhere to live safely because there are still unexploded munitions and debris and rubble.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Washington would not fund Gaza's reconstruction, adding that Trump wanted Palestinians to be only temporarily relocated out of Gaza. The United Nations warned against ethnic cleansing in Gaza.
In the search for solutions, we must not make the problem worse. It is vital to stay true to the bedrock of international law. It is essential to avoid any form of ethnic cleansing.
Guterres' spokesman Stefan Dujarric further reinforced the world body's view on the matter, adding that any forced displacement of people is tantamount to ethnic cleansing. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has, however, welcomed the plan, urging that the idea should be pursued and implemented.
But the actual idea of allowing first Gazans who want to leave, I mean, what's wrong with that? They can leave, they can then come back, they can relocate and come back, but you have to rebuild Gaza. If you want to rebuild Gaza, you can't have, this is the first good idea that I've heard. It's a remarkable idea. And I think it should be really pursued, examined, pursued, and done, because I think it will create a different future for everyone.
Leaders of Egypt, UAE, Jordan, France, China, and the EU have opposed the view. The European Union stressed that Gaza is an integral part of a future Palestinian state. Bureau Report, DT India.
US President Donald Trump has signed an executive order banning transgender athletes from participating in women's sports, fulfilling a promise that was at the center of his election campaign in 2024. Trump plans to pursue the IOC to change its rules on transgenders before the 2028 Los Angeles Games. A report.
President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Wednesday to exclude transgender girls and women from female-designated sporting competitions and teams. The order directs the Department of Justice to ban transgender girls and women from participating in female school sports. The order allows US government agencies to deny funds to schools that allow transgender athletes to compete on women's teams. The Department of Education would lead investigations into schools to ensure compliance.
Under the Trump administration, we will defend the proud tradition of female athletes, and we will not allow men to beat up, injure, and cheat our women and our girls. From now on, women's sports will be only for women. With my action this afternoon, we're putting every school receiving taxpayer dollars on notice that if you let men take over women's sports teams or invade your locker rooms, you will be investigated for violations of Title IX and risk your federal funding. There will be no federal funding.
US President Donald Trump's executive order comes in the midst of a long-running legal controversy. Trump said he would now push the International Olympic Committee to change its rules on transgender athletes before the 2028 Los Angeles Games. Trump has also directed Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem to deny visa applications made by men attempting to fraudulently enter the United States while identifying themselves as women athletes to try and get into the Games. Many states have instituted similar bans in recent years, sparking legal challenges, and Trump's action is likely to face lawsuits as well. There is no federal statute on the issue, but more than 20 Republican-led states have passed laws banning transgender girls from participating in school sports. Bureau Report, DD India.
The Guatemala has agreed to ramp up the number of deportation flights it receives from the United States after a visit from Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Speaking alongside Guatemalan President Bernardo Arevalo in a joint press conference, Rubio said he had pledged U.S. support to the Central American country's efforts to return people not from Guatemala to their homeland. Since taking office on January 20th, President Donald Trump has stepped up the number of migrants the U.S. deports to Latin America, including using military planes for repatriation flights.
The president who's made the offer today, then we'll be working on the details of all this, but the offer to increase these flights and these deportations by 40%. It's very important for us in terms of the migratory situation that we're facing. His willingness to accept not just nationals, but those from other nationalities as they seek to ultimately return to their own homelands is also important, and we've pledged our support with those efforts.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also announced on Wednesday that he will sign a waiver for programs aimed at combating drug trafficking in collaboration with Guatemalan authorities, as these initiatives align with their national interests.
This is an example of foreign aid that's in our national interest. That's why I've issued a waiver for these programs. That's why these programs are coming back online and they will be functioning, because it's a way of us showing to the American people this is the kind of foreign aid that's aligned with our foreign policy, with our national interest. That's why we want to take the relationship Guatemala has with Taiwan and expand it beyond diplomatic relations to stronger economic ties as well in terms of bringing investment.
Further, the U.S. Secretary of State has said that he will not attend the G20 summit in South Africa, accusing the host government of an anti-American agenda. Marco Rubio's announcement comes 2 days after U.S. President Donald Trump lashed out at South Africa over land reforms aimed at redressing inequalities perpetrated during the apartheid era. In a post on X that took on the tone of Trump, Rubio said he would boycott the G20 talks of foreign ministers in Johannesburg on February 20th and 21st. Earlier this week, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa rejected Trump's assertions that South Africa was confiscating land and said he was ready to explain his government's land reform policy to his US counterpart. The United States on Wednesday claimed that its vessels would be allowed to sail for free through the Panama Canal following heavy pressure from US President Donald Trump. It was the first public announcement of promises hinted at by US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who said that Panama offered concessions during his visit. However, Panama Canal Authority refuted such claims and said that it had not made any changes to the charges or rights to cross the canal. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Ukraine has significantly intensified its communication with the US administration. Washington has been one of the biggest suppliers of military aid to Kiev since its conflict with Russia began almost 3 years ago. Despite this, United States re-elected President Donald Trump and has regularly criticized the extent of US help provided to Ukraine. However, Zelensky noted that Ukraine continues to receive military aid from the US, but there is no discussion currently about any prospective packages.
We have significantly intensified our contacts with the US administration. We are also engaging in quite substantive discussions with our other partners. Ukraine needs real, lasting and guaranteed peace, as well as the means to ensure that Russia always knows what awaits those who wish harm upon Ukraine. We are open to strong diplomacy. That is exactly what we are preparing. And for this, we need the resilience of our warriors, the effectiveness of our army, and the modernization of our forces.
Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba heads to the United States on Thursday for his first in-person talks with President Donald Trump in Washington. During his visit, Ishiba will be pushing for reassurance on the importance of the US-Japan alliance as Trump's America First agenda risks encroaching on the nation's trade and defense ties. Ishiba is also expected to discuss a bid by Nippon Steel to buy US steel blocked by previous President Joe Biden, according to public broadcaster NHK. Trump will meet Ishiba in Washington on Friday, just days after a joint press conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. On to Africa now. In a significant escalation of unrest, the M23 armed group and allied Rwandan forces launched a new offensive on Wednesday in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, days before the Rwandan and Congolese presidents are due to attend a crisis summit. Despite announcing the truce for humanitarian corridors, fighting continues with rebels taking over key areas along the route to Bukavu after they seized Goma last week. We have a report. Democratic Republic of Congo continues to be in severe crisis. Despite statements to the contrary, M23 rebels have sustained their thrust deeper into Congo, seizing control of areas in eastern part of the country, defying the ceasefire they declared for humanitarian aid. The capture of Nyabibwe has taken the rebels a step closer to the provincial capital Bukavu and has displaced hundreds of thousands of people and fanned fears of a wider regional war. Uganda has deployed more than 1,000 extra soldiers into East Congo in the last week, raising its numbers to about 4,000 to 5,000. Uganda has been helping Congo fight the Islamist allied defense forces since 2021. Congo's communications minister, Patrick Moyaya, stressed the priority of Ugandan soldiers in the area was to fight the ADF through combat against M23, and deploying Rwandan soldiers was also possible. A Congo military court issued an international arrest warrant for rebel leader Nanga on Tuesday, accusing him of war crimes and treason. Congo has accused Rwanda of using the M23 to pillage valuable mineral deposits. Rwanda says it is acting in self-defense and to protect ethnic Tutsis. The United Nations said that the battle for the key city of Goma had left at least 2,900 people dead.
So far, 2,000 bodies have been collected from the Goma streets in recent days, and 900 bodies remain in the morgues of the Goma hospitals. We do not think that number would not go up. We expect this number to go up. And there's still many decomposing bodies in certain areas.
The Catholic and Protestant churches want to meet political leaders, including the M23, in order to give a renewed push to peace talks. In Congo's capital, Kinshasa, lawmakers held closed-door session to discuss the crisis. Rwandan President Paul Kagame and his DRC counterpart Felix Tshisekedi are due to attend a summit of the 8-country East African Community and 16-member Southern African Development Community in the Tanzanian city of Dar es Salaam on Saturday. On Friday, the UN Human Rights Council will convene a special session on the crisis at Kinshasa's request. Anamika Pandey's report, DD India. You're watching DD India Live, still to come on the show. French Prime Minister François Bayrou survives the no confidence motion in Parliament on 2025 budget. South Korea too blocks access to DeepSeek AI tool amid growing concerns over AI security risks. And in cricket, after decimating England in the T20 format, India to meet England in the first one-day international in Nagpur.
Timeless, boundless, and infinite. The essence of faith, the soul of Sanatan culture. From the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic. World's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Tanvi Taneja. In Bangladesh, a violent mob on Wednesday vandalized Bangabandhu Memorial Museum in Dhaka, the former residence of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Bangladesh's founding president and father of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The deplorable incident occurred at about 8 p.m. local time after the Student Against Discrimination convener Hasnat Abdullah gave an inflammatory call on Facebook to that effect. According to media sources, the incident was allegedly supported by Professor Yunus-led interim government, as one of his colleagues in the government, Asif Mahmood, local government and youth and sports advisor, also wrote on his social media account, and I quote, "Let there be festivity." New Age newspaper reported that tensions triggered after the Bangladesh Chhatra League announced that ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina would address a virtual session at about 9 p.m. on Wednesday. Earlier, Dhaka Metropolitan Police Joint Commissioner for Crime, Mohammad Farooq Hussain, said that they had deployed additional police forces in and around the Mujib Memorial Museum. However, eyewitnesses said that the protesters were able to reach the museum without major obstacles. South Korea's impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol attended his 6th hearing at the Constitutional Court on Thursday, with 3 witnesses expected to testify through the day. This hearing is part of the court's review of Yoon's impeachment by Parliament on December 14, 2024, following his declaration of martial law that plunged the country into a constitutional crisis. In the previous hearing held on Tuesday, Yoon downplayed his role in the martial law declaration, saying that there was no point in debating whether he gave orders to remove lawmakers gathering to vote to lift the martial law, since nothing actually happened. Further, South Korea's Defense Ministry has blocked access to the DeepSeek AI tool on Thursday for computers used in military. This follows a notice issued on Tuesday urging the government ministries and agencies to exercise caution when using AI services, including DeepSeek and ChatGPT at work. The restriction makes South Korea the latest government to raise concerns over AI security risks as global discussions on AI regulation and cybersecurity intensify. Several countries, including Italy, Taiwan and Australia, have also taken such an action against the app. French Prime Minister François Bayrou has survived 2 no-confidence votes in Parliament, paving the way for the adoption of the country's 2025 budget. The budget is seen as key to reducing France's significant debt. The no-confidence motions were introduced by far-left lawmakers after Bayrou invoked special constitutional powers to push through the budget without a parliamentary vote. However, the motions failed to gain sufficient support, with only 128 lawmakers voting in favour of the first motion and 122 in favour of the second motion. The far-right National Rally and centre-left Socialists did not back the motions, citing the need for a budget for the country. In his address to the lawmakers, Bayrou, however, acknowledged that the budget is imperfect and is just an emergency step.
Nous avons un budget imparfait.
We have an imperfect budget, and I would like to tell those who have noticed that our goal, our intention is for this budget is to not the same next year. If we could achieve the goals, what we have set. And so, this budget is an emergency step.
And now we take a look at other stories making news across the world. The Al-Habda minaret in Mosul, northern Iraq, has been restored using its original brickwork years after being destroyed under the rule of the Islamic State group. The restoration is part of a broader effort by UNESCO, the United Nations Heritage Agency, which has been working to restore several important sites in Mosul. The Contemporary African Art Fair in Marrakesh drew collectors, curators and art enthusiasts from across the world, showcasing works from 30 galleries spanning 14 countries, both African and European. The art fair has energized the local creative scene, drawing on the famed city's aesthetic legacy to the global spotlight. A heartwarming video released recently shows giant panda cubs playing with a small bamboo basket at the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding in southwest China's Sichuan province. The base has become a major tourist destination, celebrated for its breeding platforms, educational outreach, and efforts to protect these iconic animals. And next, we bring you some sporting action. First, updates from cricket. The 3-match one-day international series between India and England kicks off in Nagpur on Thursday. Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma have returned to the Indian fold after a month-long break. India will hope to fine-tune their preparations for the upcoming ICC Champions Trophy. Mystery spinner Varun Chakravarti has been added to the squad after his remarkable performance in the recently concluded T20 series against England. England batsman Joe Root will make his first ODI appearance since 2023 after being named in the team for the opening match. England will be eager to make up for a 4-1 defeat in the T20 series. India's 38th national games are underway in the northern state of Uttarakhand. Karnataka leads the medal tally with 28 gold medals, followed by Services and Madhya Pradesh. With 82 medals in total, Maharashtra is the highest medal holder. However, having won just 16 gold medals, it is at the 4th place. Haryana is at the 5th place with 51 medals, followed by Tamil Nadu with 44 medals. Apart from these states, the others in the top 10 include Manipur, Delhi, Kerala and Punjab. With 33 medals, the host state Uttarakhand currently occupies the 15th position in the rankings. Asian Games gold medalist archer Parneet Kaur of Punjab showcased her exceptional skills at the 38th National Games to back the gold and silver medals in the individual and team events. DD India's Narayan Singh had an exclusive conversation with her after her victory.
The Punjab team dominated the archery events at the National Games. Right now I'm joined by Parneet Kaur, who won gold in team event and silver in the individual. Parneet, a very warm welcome. Tell something about that.
So I feel really good that I could win a medal in the National Games, and after Asian Games I tried to maintain my game and level it up, and so from the past 2 years I've been working hard.
All the top-notch archers are here. and you also won a medal at the international events, World Championship. So what's the difference you feel that our own Olympic style, mini Olympic, national games and the international event, what's the difference?
Asian Games and all the international tournaments, what I feel is like the national games are the most similar. So this can help the athletes to prepare for the internationals. Everything is similar to the Asian Games and Olympics, and as per the level of archery, in compound archery the level is very high in nationally. So it's like that. If we get selected in the team here, then medal will definitely come.
So tell something about that, coming to Uttarakhand and playing in the national game. How was your experience here?
It was a really good experience, and as it's nearby my home, I could come easily, and the weather is amazing. Also, it's not like too cold here, so it's like perfect weather for the national games and for any tournament in archery.
So it's an amazing experience for the athletes to be here in Uttarakhand to participate in the national games, and all in all, their experience was great. Camera person Uttam Narayan Singh, DD India, Dehradun.
And fans of Cristiano Ronaldo gathered in La Paz, Bolivia to celebrate the soccer legend's 40th birthday with a massive tribute on Wednesday. Hundreds of enthusiasts dressed as Ronaldo and mimicked his iconic goal celebration at the event. Ronaldo continues to inspire generations, underscoring his status as a soccer icon. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and the world on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.